Uh, Now, speaking of things that absolutely do not and should not get a remake,
Yes. Mhm. Forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown.
yep. So I had never seen this movie before, though everybody knows that line at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. I've only seen This is only the second time I've watched it. First time I watched it was about 15 years ago. Um, and the only time I ever saw any form of it before was when I was in high school, and my middle school or high school, and my dad showed me a scene from the movie completely out of context that freaked me out, and we'll get to that scene in a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah. So let's kind of go into some. Uh, we'll go into some non-spoiler territory here first,
yeah,
because while this is a nearly 50-year-old movie now,
yeah.
uh, but there's almost like this weird wraparound effect where, if a movie came out 10 years ago, like, of course you've seen it. If it's 50 years old, there's a lot of people like us who weren't born then.
Right, yeah.
So
And yeah, there's some people out there who haven't seen many of the classics, so
guilty of that in many cases.
mm, it's all right.
So rough overview. Chinatown is the story. It's a very noir story uh, that was made in 1974, I want to say,
Yes. Yeah.
about a detective named, is it Giddies?
Giddies, yeah, Jake
Yep,
Giddies.
yep. Jake Giddies, who is a private eye in 30s Los Angeles, or 20, possibly 20. They gotta be
30.
30s.
It was
Yeah.
30s, yeah.
And he ends up, he's just a guy who he has people who follow people around and catch him, with their mistresses or whatnot.
Yes, yeah, which is, I would say probably about 98, 99% of private investigation is just catching cheating spouses.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which, these days business is good.
Yeah.
Probably much easier too because of the internet.
Yeah, yeah, there's that.
Um, and he stumbles upon a deeper conspiracy than he normally gets
Mhm.
into, and this movie is about the unfolding of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to deal with water, believe it or not, of all things, cuz back in Los Angeles in the 1930s, of course, very different city than it is today.
Yes.
Yeah, and for those of you who probably aren't aware of this, if you've never been to LA or you're not from LA is a desert.
Hmm.
And so the big thing that they had back in the 1930s was getting water to LA, and it's like, and they even
Still a
say it
struggle to this day.
right. Yeah, it's still struggle. Yeah. um, and so the big question is, well, how do you get water to LA, or do you bring LA to the water?
Hmm.
And so that's basically where it goes. And LA, or in Chenga says, it's hot as yes here in LA. Yeah, I've been
I
hearing
can
that too.
imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like he gets into this deeper conspiracy. Um, it's got a lot of the tropes. There's the dangerous woman.
Mhm.
There's like,
Uh, yeah. No, sorry. Go ahead.
no, you got like the shady industrialist.
Right.
There's corruption all over the place.
Yeah. 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 Like you were saying, very much a noir story. Something you'd see in yeah from the 40s. Yeah.
Yep. And to kind of close out the non-spoiler thoughts, I actually really enjoyed myself. This is like what, a
Yeah.
2-hour movie?
A little over 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I only really had to take a break at one point because of nature calling.
Hmm.
Uh, but it's a very quiet movie.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, you don't get very many movies. Yeah, of course, you don't get many movies like this anymore. It's a very it's a great. I think it's a great crime drama, and
Mhm.
it's certainly enjoyable to watch. Good, it's got a good story, and it's like you follow along with the mystery. You follow Jake Gittes along the as he uncovers the mystery. You're uncovering it with him.
Right. It drip feeds you the information, and every time, yeah, a good mystery story, you feel smarter than you actually are, even if you didn't actually figure it out yourself.
Yeah,
And it's like, oh, like, you get that little piece of the puzzle. It's like, oh, that's what's happening. That's what's
yeah,
happening. That's what's happening.
yeah, yeah.
So, would we recommend? Yes.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Have a tolerance for blood, slow pace, bit of surprising nudity at one point,
Yes.
and actually a bunch of racist jokes. Honestly,
Yeah, there was a lot of that. Yeah. Well, it was the 1930s and made in the
yep,
1970s, so.
yep.